Yesterday, Bandai Namco debuted a brand new Tekken 8 trailer during the Game Awards, revealing new mechanics and the return of a fan-favorite character. Now I'm joined in studio by Tekken 8 director Katsuhiro Harada and producer Michael Murray for a full breakdown of the new trailer. Harada-san, Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's dive right into the trailer. Okay, at the 4-second mark, Jin is falling through water, thinking about how he lost his fight, presumably, with Kazuya. A gloved hand appears from what looks like black smoke and reaches out to him. We know black smoke has historically been used to signify characters with the devil gene, and the gloves resemble Jin's and Kazuya's. Can you talk about what's happening here and where we are in the story?
So in the trailer, it's this time we really kind of focused on the story-based elements of the game and trying to portray that in the trailer. You can see Jun Kazama actually appears later on in the trailer, right? So we have Jin Kazama, Jun Kazama, Kazuya. So Jun is Jin's mother and Kazuya the father, so you know the three of them are family. And the different kind of destiny that they're all intertwined in is something that's really important to the story overall. And I think when you have a chance to play the game and you play through the story portion of it, you'll get more insight into the dynamics of that. But for this part, we just really wanted to make it really stand out about showing off some of those story-based elements, especially with the three of the main members of this iconic family.
At 9 seconds, we see Jun Kazama, Jin's mom, who hasn't been in a Tekken game since Tekken Tag 2 and hasn't had a canon appearance since Tekken 2. Can you talk about Jun's importance to Jin and Kazuya's story?
As you said, Jun Kazama, you know, this has been quite some time since she appeared in this type of capacity in the game. You know, being both part of the canon story and playable hasn't happened since, like you said, Tekken 2, which was, you know, 96 or so, so it's quite some time. Obviously, this time she plays a very important role, both to, you know, Kazuya and Jin, and I think some of that will be portrayed when you actually hands-on with the game. But really, I think she's more centrally important to Jin Kazama, because people who are familiar with the character, you know that he's got this devil gene power, and he's kind of typically wavering between you know his human side and that kind of devil influence side throughout the storyline of Tekken. So Jun is kind of like his guide on the path that he's on, and people who are familiar with the series and her and you know Kazuya know that she has this special power with her that she can actually kind of neutralize the devil gene devil gene in some of its effects. So how that plays out in the story is something that players can look forward to, I think.
At 23 seconds, Kazuya appears in his devil form and starts attacking a city in some story mode footage. Can you talk about where Kazuya is in this story after finally, maybe, defeating Heihachi in Tekken 7 and what his plans are?
So the events in the trailer and the setting for Tekken 8 take place roughly 6 months after the ending of Tekken 7. So that's where we're at when you see this. And so you can see that Kazuya Mishima is in charge of the G Corporation, and so he's kind of used that as a vehicle to gain control, basically of the whole globe, right? And this is partly due to, you know, he was in a rivalry with Heihachi Mishima, who controlled the Mishima Zaibatsu. So after defeating Heihachi, like you saw at the ending of Tekken 7, you know, he had complete control over the world, and so you see him going around and destroying in the trailer. And if you recall Tekken 7, he has these extraordinary powers from the devil gene grants him. So he can shoot lasers. He even like shot down a satellite, you know, in the previous game. So this is the kind of destructive power we're talking about, and it's kind of unhampered now that he doesn't have Heihachi to stop him.
Okay, at the 25-second mark, we get gameplay footage of Lars, Paul Phoenix, Martial Law, Jack 8, and King. Everyone's sporting a new look, especially Paul, who has moved away from his signature hairdo, and Martial Law is using nunchucks in some of his attacks. Could you tell us about their redesigns and new models that have been built for Tekken 8?
So the characters that you mentioned, obviously, you know, all of them returning from past installments. But that said, they've been completely built from the ground up. The whole models, you know, everything, the rigging, the skinning, their costume design, everything about them was made from scratch for this time. We really wanted to give Tekken 8 the feeling of a brand new title and to provide the excitement for everyone, right? So, but we did have a lot of trouble in doing so. I mean, there's a financial cost of remaking all the models for the whole game, right? But more so, if you change it to make it look new, you have to be careful that you don't change it so much that people don't recognize their fan favorites. So we had to really take a hard look at each character and think what makes them this iconic image to everyone, and to keep those elements while making it a brand new refresh of the costume. So that was something that was really important for us. And then, like you mentioned, Paul's hair, right? That's something that actually he had the straightened long hair in Tekken 4, which is pretty popular with some of the Tekken fans. So that made an appearance. We actually have kind of an internal rule that every 4, Tekken 4 and then Tekken 8, Paul has his hair down. So maybe next time Tekken 12, perhaps, we'll have a hair down version of Paul. That said, we know that there are a lot of people who love the skyscraper hairstyle of the original Paul costume. So you can actually equip that in the customizations.
Jumping ahead to 33 seconds, we see some stage destruction after King hits Jack 8 into a wall. Can you tell us about the improvements that have been made to the stages and stage destruction in Tekken 8, including any visual updates?
So regarding the stages, a lot of attention to detail was put into it from various aspects. For example, there's the functionality of the stage itself. Tekken is a 3D fighter, so this is really important that the camera, goes 360 degrees, not just for cinematics, but while you're actually playing the game in various situations, right? And so you have balconies or walls or various objects that you can destroy within the stage, which opens it up. It changes the size and shape, but what this means is it changes the strategy of the game, right? So depending on which character you're using, it could be that they're well suited to one particular stage or maybe not. So this kind of strategic element is important to the game. And so the first thing we focus on was making these stages fun for the gameplay and how it affects the strategy, right? But also, not just that, even if it's not important to the functionality, just the graphics of one area breaking and opening up, and you can see like a panorama from like a wider view, or just like the various effects of dust and smoke and other elements of the stage that are destroyed, and you can see them move in real time because of the physics. Also, the stages themselves, you might have different variations where it's nighttime or it's during the day, and that kind of lighting completely changes the look and feel of the stage. So all of this really comes together to make the stages really immersive experience, both from the gameplay elements that I mentioned, but also from a spectator or just as a player enjoying it. So those are some of the things that went into the stage when we developed. So this really is unique, though, the stages about Tekken, because there's no other really current title that has this free roaming, not free roaming, but the camera can go in 3D, 360 degrees, right, at any time, depending on the player's inputs. You don't see that in any other games. And what this means is it's so much more intensive and even costly to make these kind of stages, because you have to pay attention to every detail on the stage, because you never know where the camera is going to be, right? So everything has to be perfect, all of the cinematics and everything. So I kind of joked to myself that if I knew it was going to turn into this maybe 30 years ago, I shouldn't have done 3D stages, because everyone else is doing 2D and they don't have to worry about the stuff the camera can't see. So I'm kind of jealous in some regards.
So here at 34 seconds, we see Lars is rooting for Jin. Can you tell us about Lars' place in Tekken 8's story? We also see him fighting Jack 8 and showing off the new heat system. Tekken 8's core concept is aggressive. Could you talk about what influenced that concept and what that means for Tekken 8's gameplay, how the heat system plays into that?
So first there's, like you said, Lars appears in the trailer rooting for Jin. You can kind of see their relationship throughout the series, but this time you can do it Jin Kazama, he's saying. So I think it kind of gives people watching the trailer a good idea of the kind of dynamic there with those two, that he's supporting Jin in his journey this time, right? And then regarding the heat system, it's like you said, you see it in the trailer as he's fighting against Jack 8. But this is really designed to change the game in a positive way from past installments. That it's the same with real martial arts, but with fighting games as well. If you have two people who have a really similar skill level, sometimes neither can like go on attack or open up themselves up. You know, it leaves you vulnerable perhaps. So you'll just see people staring each other down, I guess you could say, right? We wanted to break that up. So the heat system really kind of rewards players for going on the offense and to maybe poke holes in their opponent's defense because it's more fun for the people playing, but also for people watching the game, it's more of an enjoyable spectator experience. So this was designed to kind of really reflect the core concept of Tekken 8 of being an aggressive game and to kind of change up the gameplay in that manner. So this is the first time we're showing it off, and we hope to talk about it more in the future. So we hope everyone's looking forward to hearing more details.
Okay, jumping ahead to 41 seconds, Jin and Kazuya are destined to fight each other, and their conflict mirrors Heihachi and Kazuya's. What makes this fight, Jin versus Kazuya, different from that one, and where is Jin coming into in Tekken 8's story?
So, in previous, I believe Tekken 7 is what you're referencing, the battle between Kazuya and Heihachi. The dynamics were, you have Heihachi is a human, he doesn't possess the devil gene, right? Against Kazuya, who has the devil gene, who is, a devil pretty much. And so the battle between them was kind of a different dynamic. In Kazuya, obviously he wins in the end. Spoiler alert for people who haven't played Tekken 7. So that dynamic is slightly different because now you have Jin Kazama, who actually also possesses this devil gene and gives him similar powers to Kazuya. But it's quite different in the matter that Kazuya, from a martial artist perspective, fighter, and being able to control the devil gene and go freely back and forth between human and devil powers, he's much more of a developed and polished entity or person, I guess you could say. Where Jin he's younger, and he's still he has his things that he's trying to battle with and within himself and to figure out. And so he's not mastered himself or the devil gene and its powers. So the way that plays out is quite different than the battle between Heihachi and Kazuya. But not just that, you have the added dynamic of Jin's mother, Jun Kazama, Kazuya's wife as well, who kind of will come on the scene, and how she affects that face-off between the two, father and son, this time is going to be something quite different than what we've seen before with Heihachi and Kazuya, right?
Okay, skipping ahead to the 1 minute mark, we see Jun Kazama again. She returns and promises to help Jin cleanse this world of its evil and corruption. We also see a bird land on her hand. Could you talk about what the bird symbolizes and the importance of Jun's return to the series after so much time away?
So just to dive into the background of Jun Kazama a little bit, part of her character setting is that she's involved in wildlife conservation, and that's also kind of why she raised Jin in Yakushima, which has a lot of nature in that environment. So there is that regarding the bird, coming to her, but it's also more of a kind of Japanese or Asian concept that when you have these martial artists who've attained a lot of power, it's said that that kind of fighting spirit emanates from them, right? But on the other hand, someone who's equally a master can kind of feel that power, and it works in minus ways some ways. So it's said that people who've gone even further to the next level are able to kind of get rid of that fighting spirit or not emanate it, so that their opponent can't feel it, right? So that is said that with a very skilled martial artist in the past, that animals would fly to them because they don't feel that fighting spirit or that danger, I guess you could say, right? So it's a sign that not only is she, in tune with nature, but that also she is such a skilled martial artist that she is able to kind of not emanate that fighting energy, right? So that's a background setting to it. But also, one important thing of Jun is that she's got this power to cleanse things or kind of neutralize the devil gene, etc. So how this plays affects the outcome and what transpires between these two fighters, right, is going to be one of the focal points of the story for people to look forward to.
And finally, at the end of the trailer, we see the chain and the 8 symbol again. We finally see Tekken 8's tagline, Fist Meets Fate. Can you talk about the symbolism behind the chain and the tagline and how they relate to Tekken 8's story?
So the chains are really an important element, especially tied to Jin, also Kazuya, the Mishima family in general, with the devil Jin and their history. So it kind of symbolizes they have this particular destiny or things that they're tied to, whether they like it or not in many instances. And the chains are kind of what binds them to that, and that's like a reflection of that. So that's a key element of the story that appears visually. But then also the Fist Meets Fate just symbolizes that although they have this destiny and it seems like it's kind of decided and they have no choice in it at times, they use the power, which is symbolized by their fist, right, to try to veer away from their destiny, to try to change it per se through their sheer power in their fists. So that's where the Fist Meets Fate comes from.
All right, well, that's all the time we have today. Thanks once again to Harada-san and Michael Murray for joining us. Thanks to you all for watching. For lots more coverage, check out our full analysis of the new Tekken trailer over on the site. And for everything you need to know about the rest of the video game world, stick with us right here at IGN.
もろもろの我がこと罪汚れ清めましょう